Hi, this is a quick video about the price of gold. It's Friday, November 27th, 2015. It's around 1:45 in the afternoon in London. Um, Gold is now down $16 at 1,055. Um, in 2008, gold made an all-time high of around 1,030, and that was back in March, if I'm not mistaken. That was the day that Bear Stearns collapsed and gold made a high of 1,030, and that was 7 years ago. And despite all the trillions of dollars that have been created out of thin air by central banks to save the system, uh, despite the fact that uh, debt throughout the world has increased even more after the collapse of '08, and despite the fact that central banks like the ECB, the Swiss National Bank, the Swedish Central Bank, all these central banks are imposing negative interest rates. Um, yeah, despite all that and the fact that national debts are ballooning, gold is basically at the same level it was in 2008, March of 2008. It just doesn't make sense. Um, well, it doesn't. It does make sense to me. To me, it just shows that the central banks know what their and who their enemy is, the enemy of their fiat currencies, and that is gold, because gold has got a 5,000-year track record as money and a currency that maintains its purchasing power. So the more under threat their system is, which it is after the collapse of '08, nothing has been really fixed. They've just injected the system with more of the drug instead of letting the patient recover. There's more heroin in the system, i.e., more debt, and they haven't corrected anything. So there's no doubt that central banks have been controlling the price of gold lower. It just doesn't make sense that we are where we are here in the price of gold. It should be a lot higher, but it makes sense. They want to discourage people from protecting themselves. They don't want people to get out of the game, take their cash out of the big banks or any bank and convert that into real money, because that would jeopardize their game. They want people to look at gold and see, oh, it's very risky. We don't want to put our money in that, and that's why they're doing this. But for those people who, believe or know what the monetary system is all about, and gold's track record, and the fact that gold has no counterparty risk, and it's an asset that has retained its value, you know, for the last 2,000 years at least. Back in Roman times, you could take an ounce of gold and buy a very high quality toga and sandals or shoes for an ounce of gold. And you can still do that today. Probably not as much with how it's priced, but this is just more desperate manipulation by the central banks, in my opinion. And they use the bullion banks like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Barclays, HSBC, and they've picked a day because I've worked in the market for 20 years, and I know Friday on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Friday is one of the quietest days of the year. The U.S. market does open for half a day, but it's very illiquid. So they picked the day, to smash the COMEX futures. I was reading on Zero Hedge that someone sold 18,000 gold futures contract, which is quite big on a thin market, and they did that at one. I think just even before the official COMEX opened, they did that in the pre-market. So they've picked someone's picked the most illiquid day, and they said, oh, I need to sell 18,000 contracts. I won't try to work it in there, 100 lots at a time. I'll just smash the market. It just doesn't make sense, monetary with the monetary system we've had and all the money printing policies of all central banks around the world. It doesn't make sense that gold is basically $20 above where it was in March of '08 at the all-time high then of 1,030. Um, and that's just the monetary aspect of it. And we're not even talking about, the fact that the world is in the brink of a World War III. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I think for people who own physical gold and believe, in the story, they need to hold on, and not stay in the Titanic. Get on the lifeboat and don't buy into what the central bankers and powers that be are trying to do. Yeah, and hold on to this. That's real wealth. That's real money. Take care.